Shane here, Lana67. Welcome to part 2 of how to weather a model. So we're back working again on our weathering square, which again is our little horizon plate. So where I left off last time, I had just applied the final elements of chipping, which were done with aluminium, kind of steel colour, or sorry, should I say steel colour, which was model layer steel. Then I gloss coated and left it to sit for 24 hours. So now we're moving on to the cool part, the part I always enjoy the most, and that's oils. So I've laid out all the bits and pieces we're going to use for this. So it's going to be nice and simple, and we might add 1 or 2 extra shades in maybe a few more layers. But just for now, I'm going to start with the pin, or the dot, or should I say the dot filter. And you'll see why it's called a dot filter in a moment. So I'm just going to talk about what I'm using. So it's going to be important to have a thinner. So I'm using Winsor & Newton oil colour solvents, distilled turpentine. This is a strong brush clean, strong thinner and brush cleaner. It's good, but it's powerful stuff, and this was extremely expensive for just that. But anyway, you can buy industrial white spirit. I would strongly recommend you do not go for the finer artist grades. The industrial white spirits, though they will do the job, they are just too heavy, and you don't get the same result. So that's our thinner. We'll a simple cocktail stick for applying the dots, which I'll show you in a moment when we get to that. And just 3 oil colours: titanium white, burnt umber, and yellow ochre. Now mind you, you could add other colours if you wish. You could use blues, like a deep kind of navy colours. You could use burnt sienna to make it look like rust. So it's all down to what you would like to use. There is no real wrong colours to use as such, you know. And then I have a little strip of cardboard, and the cardboard is important. We'll talk through. So firstly, I will put small dabs of each pigment or each colour onto the cardboard. And what the cardboard will do is it will pull all the oil out of the pigment. It also just makes for a handy disposable palette as well. And of course I dropped my pipe, which I'm always doing. Wonderful. Anyway, we'll keep moving. So you don't need that much. As you can see, I'm just doing small dollops. And you can add as many or a minimum of 3 colours works well, and you can add more if you so wish. So here we go. And now we're going to decant some turpentine. I'm just going to use an old bottle cap, which I've cleaned. Let's take my pipette here and just a couple of drops. Again, I don't need too much. That should be perfect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, remember in the last step I mentioned that we should seal the object in gloss, which I have. You can see by this reflective quality. So what I do is, this is dirty, can't use this, that's stupid of me. And a soft brush here, sorry about that. So I'll just moisten the area with turpentine or whatever thinner you're using. And again, I need to keep this finger from I know it's the last video I had this out for most of it, so I'm going to try to keep this finger tucked away. It's just a habit, I suppose. There we go. You don't need to drown the surface with it, but just apply a moistening layer. And this is when we take our cocktail stick, point down, and we just simply start applying dots. Hence the name dot filter. And this creates a very nice and subtle effect, though we only do this on vertical surfaces. This effect does not work at all with horizontal surfaces, and because the horizon plate sits like this on a fakel, gravity is like pulling down water streaks, oil rust, bird shit, what have you, you know. The ochre kind of simulates fading, Again, just applying them somewhat randomly. I know this can be a little bit daunting, but it really is a very, very pleasing and rewarding process. This, it gives you a lovely, lovely effect. So fear not. Now, I'm actually going to do. I'm just going to apply. Actually, that's fine. And then bits of burnt umber. And again, you can do as many layers of this as you want. You could do one layer of dot filters, think it's too light, seal it, and then apply another layer over it. You can really do what you want with oils. And there we have it. So you can see all the different dots of colour. And this camera's going to run out of memory, so I want to do this quick. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause and put a new memory card and continue, because I don't want to rush this. So just 1 sec. Okay, welcome back. So new memory card in, so we can just take our time and explain this correctly. So I've left this now for about 3 or 4 minutes, and it should still react just fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to moisten my brush and pull in one direction, so pull down with the brush. So downward brush strokes only. Don't go left, don't go right, go straight down in nice steady movements. So here we go. So again, you can kind of see some of the effect. And again, it needs to be nice and light. As long as you can see small amounts of it, which you can kind of see. Again, the gloss coat doesn't quite do it justice, but it is there. And what I might even do is, because it's so light, I might go back and even apply a second layer. So what I'm going to do is, I'll let this dry. I'll get my hair dryer or something in a few minutes, or not really a good idea to stick this in front of the Hillian heater because of the white spirits will go up like a bloody flare. But that's how you do it. And you can, if it's too light for you, for your taste, just apply another layer and just build it up. It's a very, very forgiving effect, and you can. I use it too in aircraft. I use it for doing wings as well. Kind of make it look like dirt and grime being pulled by the airstream and being pulled in one direction. So you always remember to pull in one direction with this. Unfortunately, I can't show you how to do panel washes because there's no panel lines or rivets in this. But all a panel line is, I'll just do a quick explanation of a panel line wash or a pin wash. I'll actually do pin washes on this as well. I might just do a little bit of rust pin washing. I'll come back with some red-brown paint and paint in one of the chips kind of rusty, and just do 1 or 2 small rust streaks. And then the final step would be to do some pigments. But to do panel washes, there's 2 ways. You can use an acrylic wash, dip a fine brush into it, and then just literally touch the brush, load it with wash to the very edge of the panel, and let the capillary action, as long as it's gloss coated, will pull it in and highlight and will draw attention or pick out the wash, or pick out the panel line, should I say. You can also do it with an oil. You can just make, you take a little, I use like a bottle cap, put a small little dollop of oil, and then so about maybe 15 or 10% to 15% pigment, or like oil pigment in this case, and then about 90% thinner. Mix it together into a little wash. It's kind of, I do make my own, but they tend to go bad after a few months. So I just do make a small little batch for one model at a time. You can also use over-the-counter stuff. It's all the same, and they all have their own merits. So in a later video, I'll probably come back and do a quick explanation of using washes to highlight or to make detail pop, such as doing rivet detail and panels. So I'm going to let this dry, and then we're going to continue. So catch you all in a second. Hi all, okay, welcome back. So So I was enjoying my pipe while waiting for this to dry. So I have just gone back and done, so I sealed it in between the last take and applied another small filter. This time it's focusing on a darker colour, so you can kind of see the effect now. Unfortunately the gloss makes actually hand. If I tilt the camera you might be able to see it somewhat better. You can kind of see the effect there, the light streaking. Now that, I'm pretty happy with that, and it gives you a good representation of the effect. So, oh god, no one saw that. So, what am I going to do next? So I'm going to seal this again, because I want to protect the coat. Well actually before I seal it, because I don't want this video going forever, I'm going to add some, I want to apply some rust. This is kind of because of a conversation I had with Jim last night. We're talking about rust effects. I am not an expert in rust, so just know that going in. That's almost a discipline in itself, and it's something I'm still kind of getting used to, but I've learned kind of a beginner's way of doing it to make it look pretty okay, at least a good basis to start from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take red leather. If I could find a bloody colour, I'd be doing alright. If I can't find red leather, I use mahogany. But so I'm going to take like a red brown, and I'm going to go back to chipping. So I'm going to take something like this colour here. You're going to see, I'm going to tilt up. So it's a nice deep rusty colour. Actually, I'm just going to pause for a second, and I want to find the colour I want to use. So right back. Okay, we're back. Sorry, sorry for the stop-start kind of jerkiness of this video, but I want to do this kind of right. So I'm going to take this colour, which is model colour red leather. Unfortunately the serial number has eroded away because it's such a notable colour. But anything like this, like a kind of red leathery colour, and you'll see it now when I put it here on the palette. So you can kind of, you can see the red brownness. So this is going to be my base for rust. So I'm going to do this before I seal it, and then we're going to do some rust and then some pigments, and that's going to be this tutorial over. So I'm going to just take a small amount and going back to the areas of which we've chipped. Only the areas of which we've chipped. So I'm just going to apply some of this colour around certain areas I want to rust. This just gives me my foundation. I want to go too mad with this now. Less is very much more with rust, okay? And I'll rust some of the bottom as well. So I'll make that particularly rusty. Maybe just to get a long streak here. Okay, made a bit of balls of that, I am. Just wipe that away. Now, so that's just going to be the base for my rust. You can kind of see I just picked out some of the areas we've chipped, and that's just going to give me the foundation to give the impression of some of the material is beginning to rust and begin to oxidize. Again, this isn't the greatest way to do it, but it's just the way I'm kind of familiar with. So I'll just give you how I do it, and make of it as you will. So I'm just going to let all this dry on a gloss coat to protect the oil underneath it. I'm going to do our rust, and then we're going to do a little bit of pigment and mud, and everything's going to be matte coated, and that's going to be the end of this tutorial. So we're almost there now. So thank you for watching, and thank you for hanging in there. So I'm just going to let this dry, and I'm going to gloss coat off camera, and then we're going to do the final steps. Okay, so thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Welcome back. So we're just going to add our rust. So I've allowed the little base of rust paint that I've just painted on, which is red leather. I've gloss coated over everything, which is going to be the final gloss coat of this project until we matte coat to seal everything in, and then it's ready for mounting on the vehicle. So I'm going to add some rust streaks and some rust effects using AK Interactive's Light Rust. Is an enamel wash. It's a very rich pigment, and for some reason the cap on this has been busted for a very long time, so it can be a little bit tricky trying to wash, trying to shake it. So what I'm going to try to do is, this is make or break. I'm not quite sure how this is going to go. So I'm just going to take a small amount on my brush, and I'm going to paint it on to certain areas, basically the areas that I've picked out. I don't want too much. Just kind of hope you can see. I don't want to be too heavy-handed with this either. I'm using some of the built-up residue that's accumulated on the bottle cap to build up the layers that I want to kind of represent that this is kind of been building bit by bit, especially on this little lower edge here. You're not going to get any streaking here, so it's going to more or less begin to crustate, if you will. And now I'm going to attempt, and now watch me mess this up, to do some streaks, just kind of, or at least now this isn't really the right way to do it, I don't think, but oh. It's not quite reacting the way I want it to, but I think I'm using this wrong, but this is just kind of experimental after all. So there's some rusting. It's not too good, but oh well. It's more so it's just going to give us a nice kind of fresh rust beginning to form on the surfaces of the machine. This is not really the correct way to do it. I think I'm going to kind of use more of a spirit. Actually, I might even just attempt to do it this way and see what happens. That's kind of a better way of doing it. And when that dries, we'll have some faint rust outlines. So what's going to be done now is that's just going to be left to dry, and the last part is going to be pigments. So I'm just going to do a little bit of mud splatter on the lower elements of this Shoresden plate, and that will be the final end of this video.